Well, Redcast Rob, he's watching right now, and he said, "What's it life as a lifelong Husker fan having a child play for the Huskers, and how does that affect the way you root for the team every week?"
It's amazing, to be honest with you. Just to feel a little part of it, to chase the team around, we'll play it like last year. We played Crete at home, and we beat them in overtime after a lightning delay, and we took off at midnight to drive to Champaign, Illinois, and we drove all night long and got down there, and
We
just to
were
chase
there.
the team around is so much fun, and to be in the
Mm-hmm.
team hotel and just to feel something that's been this big of a deal to me my whole life. I mean, and I know everybody's a Husker fan, but this has been a big deal for me my whole life. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
live and die Husker football since I can remember. And to see your son on the field, playing, it just, I mean, I don't know if I'm still pinching myself a little bit when I see it, and then watch Dalton out there at Friday Night Lights, getting coached by Coach Rude and talking to Coach Frost and things like that. Just to be a small part of it's pretty incredible. So yeah, it's awesome.
I coached for a number of years with Dan Penzick, and his son Cole was on our
Mm-hmm.
team, and so Dan was a black shirt back in the '70s, and then I got to see that in his eye when Cole gets the offer and Cole starts to play and gets to be out there on the field, and it was the same way, kind of being able to watch through his dad how just the pride and everything. Um, you know, you mentioned Champaign, Illinois. We went there the last two times. We went there last year, and that was just a miserable game across the board. I mean, it was like 112 degrees
Yes.
outside, and just and Champaign's a horrible town. We've said that a number of times on the show. But even the year before that, of the 2019 game, our seats were right behind the parent section. So of all things, we were sitting right behind Wandell Robinson's dad, who that was the breakout game for Wandell, and it was so cool to watch the parent, react to something that they were doing. I think, one of the things I'd like to do with this, the forum here, is to talk to different fans and get their perspectives on something. And I think you have a unique perspective. You're a Husker parent. What is that like on Twitter? What is that like at a game? And sometimes when things aren't going great, and you hear somebody yell something, and half the time or more than half the time, it's not even something right, but someone's still going to yell because you're just, hey, we're Husker fans. We're just mad. And this kid stinks and this kid needs to go and all those things. What's that like, being in the parents' shoes and hearing that and knowing the parents of the kid maybe that person's talking about?
Yeah, and I hate to say this because I really enjoy all the different outlets that report on Nebraska football, because I think they're super important. But I try hard to stay off the chat sites, and I'm not. That's just me. That's my perspective as a parent, and it's something that I've been on those chat sites, and I enjoyed looking at all the different things. But as a dad, it just sometimes it just makes me more angry than it needs to if something negative happens. So that's personally one thing that I try and do, and I don't want to discourage anybody from doing that. I'm just saying, as a dad, I try and stay away from those things. But I suppose I like supporting the staff no matter what, because when things get negative, I use my social media forum as much as I can to let everybody know that I'm going to support these coaches no matter what. These coaches have my son's back no matter what, so I'm going to make sure and have these coaches back no matter what, win or lose. We're always going to be Husker fans. We might be frustrated at times. I'm not going to lie. I was frustrated walking out of that Iowa game last year, but didn't change my fandom, didn't change how much I trust the coaches and love the team. But yeah, so when the negativity comes out, it does get frustrating at times because, as a parent and as, I've got a little bit maybe more insight on what goes on sometimes inside the program to some extent, not total inside access, obviously, but some. And so when I hear things that just aren't even true, it just really bugs me sometimes. And I'll bring my brother Paul, who's my middle brother. I'll bring him to games, and we'll be sitting in the parent section, and he's he tends to be a little outgoing with what he says. and I have to remind him every game, don't forget, Paul, we're in the parent section. So if someone makes a mistake, let's just keep that here under your hat a little bit. And, okay. And so he remembers. But so I got to constantly remind him that we're sitting in the parent section. But we've made so many great friendships, lifelong friendships with parents, especially in Garrett's class. There's just so many good groups. And now and like I said, during that COVID thing, we had a parent group that was really did a lot of work together during that time on a lot of things. And now ABM and Jared Lambrick, they do a parent tailgate for us. And that's just another way for us to get together and develop more relationships. So it's I love being a Husker parent. I absolutely love everything about it. And the cool thing is Garrett's going to be able to play for 6 years. He had a redshirt year, and then he had a COVID year, and I get to be a part of it longer than most any parents ever do. So I'm going to just enjoy every second of it.
Enjoy every second. That is awesome. I want to talk, you mentioned ABM there, and actually this is something I wanted to get to also. Me being a former youth coach for a number of years, I'm big into youth football and getting kids in early and getting them developed. And here was one where ABM, Garrett tweeted out something about don't miss your chance to work with us at a free football camp next week. And this was a couple weeks ago, but something that was powered by ABM. So right now, everyone associates ABM with just NIL, but there's, development camps like this that they're going on for youth. Also, here is another one, a tweet from Ken Cush about 3 Husker football players put smiles on the faces of York youth Duke football campers on Wednesday at York High School. York grad Garrett Snodgrass, and then there was Phelan Sanford and Chris Kolarevic. They were in attendance to help at York's camp. With youth football like that, especially the smaller towns, where the kids and they've known each other since they were this tall and been playing with each other, in the streets and everything in the neighborhoods. Do you take an active role as the head coach of the high school? Do you take an active role in how that development starts in York at the younger levels, at the junior highs? And I don't even know what exact age that they'd start, but how active a role do you take with like youth football there?
Well, I coached it for a long time when my boys played. So I don't coach anymore because my boys are out of it, but I'm kind of I guess you would say, the commissioner of our youth program. That's one thing I wanted to do when I got to York, because we're one school, one town. I wanted to kind of consolidate everything from youth, which our flag football starts in first grade, and all the way up to the senior year. They're running the same stuff all the way through. And so you're right, that youth stuff is really important. And I love how Nebraska's handling it. They've had, I'm not sure if they're going to have it this summer or not, but the last 2 or 3 years when Jared Lambrick was the chief of staff up there, they did a free camp for kids that were maybe a little bit underprivileged kids, I guess. And they got a lot of kids up who generally maybe would not be able to afford a camp. And they filled up the Hawks practice facility there with those kids, and we'd always bring a busload of kids down from York. And now ABM, they just did a free camp the other day, and now they're also going to do a Special Olympics camp here. And I'm not sure when the date is on that one, but I know that one's coming up, a Special Olympics camp that ABM is doing. And so for them to just doing a camp is a great thing, but they're doing it for free, and they're encouraging these kids to come down and get an opportunity to be coached by these guys that, they're heroes that, they may never ever get a chance to talk to. And that's a big deal for those kids. And especially the one they had, in Lincoln, the last several years, where I know there was a lot of kids from York who would not have been able to afford these camps, but they were free. And they were getting the word out, trying to get every kid in the state that they possibly could that normally wouldn't be able to afford those camps to get there. And it was a heck of a lot of fun to be a small part of that. And now, like you said, what ABM's doing, and for those boys that come down to York, to work with our kids. I mean, my goodness, our kid, it was the best camp we've ever had. A year ago, we had Simon Odie, Garrett, and Noah Stefersky. And this year, Noah and Simon couldn't make it. So we got Chris Kolarvik and Phelan Sanford, who are both Garrett's roommates. Omar Brown was supposed to come, but he ended up not making it. So those things are great. And for those kids to to be able to be coached by those guys is just incredible. And
They'll
the
never
smiles
forget
on their
that.
faces were incredible.
Oh yeah, they'll never forget that. And that is part of the, there's the sign that the players walk under when they get to the field and the tunnel walk. I play for Nebraska. And it truly is. I mean, it's not just, you're not playing for just the name on the jersey. You are playing for the entire state. I mean, what you said about York is a microcosm of Nebraska. The University of Nebraska is one state, one program. You want to get everyone in on it. You talked earlier about culture building. I remember reading things on Devaney when he got here in '62, and he would take, Nebraska had been losing for 20 years, and he would take these different trips all the way up to Shadron and down to McCook and up to, the Northeast section, up to Wausau or wherever. And just, you would just try to build people to support the program. We're going to be better off when all of Nebraska is behind us. I think I asked the question too about the negativity sometimes with fans, because, and I'm talking to fans here about, we all have energy that we can dedicate towards the program, and you can choose to be negative with it. You can choose to be positive with it. The group of guys I hang out with, we've chosen to start up a podcast. We've chosen to create a social media presence that, sometimes we get called Kool-Aid. Rob is a Kool-Aid guy, but I think we're more positive than anything. I mean, we get frustrated when we lose. There are times we haven't done a show that week because there wasn't much to talk about, or if it was going to be real negative, then I don't want to go up there and, why would I want to put myself out there and just, spout out a bunch of stuff either. Right. I mean, at the end of the day, all we want to see is this program get back to, it doesn't have to be national champions every year, but just, we want it to get back to being that winning program. And we want to really see the state get back to being unified behind this program the way that I remember it growing up too. I mean, that's the best.
I can tell a lot about the state of how the state is behind our university by the shirts that the students wear at school. I mean, I remember back in the days where we were great. I mean, you would see Nebraska T-shirts everywhere. Well, then when things kind of went south with Coach Callahan, you started seeing a lot of Texas shirts, and I'm thinking, how could you live in Nebraska and wear a Texas shirt to school? And then you started seeing some Oregon shirts and things like that. And I know when Coach Frost came back, he absolutely kind of got that turned around quite a bit. And another cool thing they're doing is a lot of these junior days they're inviting a lot of kids in. And there's a lot of kids that are probably never going to get, legit scholarships or even walk-ons, but yet they still bring a lot of those kids in just to be able to experience it. And just to say that, they can tell their grandkids, hey, I got recruited by Nebraska. And that does nothing but build the fandom all over the state with all these kids that are able to come in and be a part of these junior days with Nebraska.
Wow.